So what did I think of the new Mortal Kombat movie? I actually thought this movie was pretty rad. I admit I did have pretty low expectations. I mean, I saw the trailer and I thought the trailer looked kind of cool, but I was really worried that the special effects were going to be terrible and that the script was going to be really bad. And I also read some negative reviews, and I watched Chris Stuckman's review and Jeremy John's review, and Jeremy John said that you can only really enjoy the movie if you're drunk. But I disagree. I had a lot of fun in this film, and I'm really excited to see a sequel. Now, one way that I can tell if I liked a movie is if I want to see it again right after I saw it the first time. And this is a movie that I would definitely love to see again tomorrow. Basically, the storyline is Cole is an over-the-hill MMA fighter, and he has a mysterious birthmark that's in the shape of the Mortal Kombat dragon. And a bunch of other people also have the same insignia on them. And this suggests that they have been chosen to participate in the Mortal Kombat tournament so that they can defend Earth from the evil Outworld. One thing that was weird about this movie is that it doesn't actually take place during the Mortal Kombat tournament. Everything is happening before the Mortal Kombat tournament takes place. I can't remember the villain's name. What is it, Shang Tsung? I'm just... You can't run from me, Shang! I don't need to run! Your soul is mine! I think his name is Shang Tsung. Anyway, he is trying to assassinate Earth's fighters before they can get to the tournament. So he's sending Sub-Zero, Melina, and Goro, and some other people that I've never heard of before, to kill Cole and Sonya and Jax and who else? Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and... Did I say Kano already? Well, Kano's part of their team as well. So a lot of this movie takes place in Lord Raiden's sandcastle, and our heroes are training to discover their inner power so that they can, like, if you've played the video games, you know that they have special abilities, like Liu Kang is able to shoot fireballs, and Sonya, I don't know what she does. She can shoot lasers out of her fist. I don't know. So, yeah, they're training so that they can unlock their secret hidden powers. So what are some things that I liked about this movie? The first thing I liked about it is that it wasn't completely stupid. Now, I just saw Godzilla vs. Kong a couple days ago, and man, that movie was so stupid. Every single line that came out of every character's mouth and every single plot point was absolutely ridiculous. And they did it on purpose, too, so I mean, there's no point in me criticizing it because the writers and the director are essentially saying, hey, this movie is crazy. It's about a giant monkey fighting a giant lizard. So we're just going to go ahead and make it as ridiculous as possible. And if you're into that sort of thing, then great, more power to you. Do you know how much that means to me? That someone making a video game movie didn't say, we don't care about the acting, we don't care about the dialogue, because everyone here is just for the fight scenes. I don't think I rolled my eyes once in this movie. And that is a very rare thing, especially in a video game adaptation. So thank you, the writers of this movie, for not making it completely stupid. Another thing I loved was Kano. He was the best part of the movie. He is an absolute scene stealer. Every single line that comes out of his mouth is absolutely hilarious. If he wasn't in this movie, I would have a very different reaction to the film, but man, he is just so entertaining to watch. I was able to see this in the movie theater. This is the first movie I've seen in the theater since Tenet back in September. I actually also saw the movie 42 in September because at that time the movie theaters were playing classic films to try and bring audiences in because all of the new films had been canceled or postponed. So throughout this movie, every time Kano was on screen, the whole audience was laughing along with the jokes that he was making. I also want to say I was pretty impressed with the special effects. Not that they were anything mind-blowing, but the fact that, again, they weren't absolutely terrible and they were pretty decent. Again, when I saw the trailer, I was very worried because I thought that the special effects looked really cheap. And I thought, man, if they can't even make fire effects, how could they possibly put Goro on screen and not make it laughable? And Goro looked really good. I mean, yeah, his fight scenes were filmed at night in the dark, but I mean, in that environment, he looked pretty good. They also had Reptile in there. Reptile looked pretty good. I was also worried about Jax's arms. His mechanical arms look really lame in the trailer, but they actually turned out to look pretty cool in this movie. So I guess when it comes down to it, the reason why I like this movie is because it wasn't absolutely awful. In my opinion, this is easily the best video game adaptation that we've seen on film. I'd say Sonic the Hedgehog was a close second, but even Sonic the Hedgehog, even though it had a lot of funny stuff in it, there were a lot of stupid lines of dialogue where I was rolling my eyes, and that's the advantage that Mortal Kombat has because the dialogue wasn't completely ridiculous. There were a lot of really cool scenes in this too. Now, I thought the fight scenes left a lot to be desired, but there were a lot of cool action scenes that didn't involve just straight up fighting between one legacy character versus another. Sub-Zero has a lot of really cool scenes. He's stalking Cole and his family, and there were some cool scenes with him shooting icicles out of the sky, trying to attack their car. Or the scene that we saw in the trailer where Jax tries to shoot him with a shotgun and he freezes the pellets in the air. But one of the things that I disliked in this movie were the fight scenes. I can't say whether or not the choreography was good or bad because I didn't get to see the choreography. So much of the fight scenes in this movie are filmed with close-up shots and shaky cam. So I couldn't tell a lot of the times whether these stunt people were doing cool karate kung fu stunts. Because the camera was so focused on their faces, I couldn't see what they were doing with their legs and their hands. So thankfully there were a lot of cool scenes, like I mentioned before, that didn't involve the actual one-on-one fights. But yeah, kind of disappointed in the fight scenes. Second thing I didn't like about this movie, it wasn't too problematic, but the fact that it didn't take place during the Mortal Kombat tournament and it takes place entirely while our heroes are training for the tournament was an odd choice in my opinion. However, it did make me excited for a sequel, so maybe that was their intention. And they definitely set it up for a sequel. Something else I didn't like about the film, well, if we go back to the 90s Mortal Kombat movie, there were two things that I really loved about that movie. It's not a very good movie overall, but the two things that I loved were the music, obviously. Everybody loves that theme song. Buckethead is also on the soundtrack, so you gotta love that. But one thing that I really loved about the 90s movie was the set design. I just thought the lighting was really cool, and I loved seeing the gargoyle statues and the hooded figures chanting, and the weird cult that they're part of, worshiping the Dark Lord. And there weren't really any cool sets in this movie, with the exception of the final fight where Sub-Zero freezes everything over in Cole's MMA gym. The set design was pretty mediocre. I was also actually surprised at how underwhelming the fatalities were. You know, they made such a big deal about this being a hard R movie, and I was hoping to see something that would make me be like, oh man, I can't believe that just happened. And I thought the fatalities were just kind of pretty standard stuff, you know? Most of the fatalities happen to CG monsters, so it's just not really very effective. And you could tell that they used some classic fatalities, and I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I've played the video games a few times, but even I was able to recognize, like, oh yeah, that's Liu Kang's fatality from the the Sega Genesis version. But other than that, I thought it was pretty entertaining. Now, I did rag on the fight scenes a little bit, but there were some cool fight scenes in there, some cool choreography, especially when Scorpion appears and he fights Sub-Zero with Cole. That was pretty epic. So yeah, I'm really excited to see a sequel, and I would love to see this movie again. Recommendations for the sequel: first, come up with some really cool sets. I mean, that's a hallmark of the Mortal Kombat video games, all the cool environments that you can interact with. So yeah, you gotta take the characters to some cooler locations, and not have it take place entirely in Lord Raiden's rundown rock temple. You also need to hire somebody who's a little more competent at filming action scenes. I saw the Shang-Chi trailer and it got me excited for that movie because it doesn't look like it uses a bunch of close-up, shaky cam, quick edits. You gotta stop doing that, man. You gotta improve upon that in the sequel. Other than that, I had a really good time in this film. Let me know what you thought about the film in the comments, and I will catch you next time.